Hey guys, welcome to Give Your Grades a Glow Up. Today we're going to be looking at another poem from the Power and Conflict cluster. We're going to be looking at London by William Blake. London is a poem about the cruelty and injustice occurring in society. It's set in London at night time, and the speaker is walking through the city and looking at how much people are suffering, especially marginalised people such as prostitutes and chimney sweepers who used to be children during that time. The poet, Blake, uses the poem to criticise the people in power, the church and the British monarchy, by describing all the awful things he can see and hear while he's walking. So a bit like Ozymandias, this poem is also about the abuse of power, but this time instead of focusing on the tyrant, we're focusing on the helpless citizens. Let's read it. I wander through each chartered street, near where the chartered Thames does flow, and mark in every face I meet marks of weakness, marks of woe. In every cry of every man, in every infant's cry of fear, in every voice, in every band, the mind-forged manacles I hear. How the chimney sweepers cry, every blackening church appalls, and the hapless soldier's sigh runs in blood down palace walls. But most through midnight streets I hear how the youthful harlots curse, blast the newborn infant's tear, and blights with plagues the marriage hearse. Okay, we need at least 3 juicy quotations, and that means quotations that have hopefully a couple of language devices in there, some interesting words, punctuation marks, and then we're going to try and analyze it. We're going to draw mind maps and get as many different interpretations and say as many interesting things about that quotation as we possibly can. So we're going to work our way through the poem, and let's just figure out what's happening. I want to focus first on the word wonder. The verb makes it seem as though the speaker is alienated from the place he once loved and he's just walking aimlessly. There's repetition then of the adjective chartered. We should probably mind map this actually, where it says near where the chartered Thames does flow. And that repetition conveys how everything in the city is fixed and regulated. The speaker clearly resents being so confined. And there's juxtaposition here used in chartered Thames because the Thames is a river, so it's meant to be free. It connotes freedom and nature. But here, even nature is being controlled. This idea of controlled is then reinforced by Blake structurally, because we like to reinforce things structurally, because the poem is written in quatrains. Quatrains means 4-line stanzas, and there's a sustained A-B rhyme scheme. And that fixed structure mirrors how rigid London is. It's restricted. There is no space to break out. There is no space for freedom. The repetition of mark is interesting in the next bit, where it says, mark in every face I meet, marks of weakness, marks of woe. Because first, mark is used as a verb. So the speaker is marking, like noticing, the suffering on people's faces, which shows that their anguish is visible. And it's in every person. There is no exception, which shows the extent and magnitude of their misery. But then after that, mark is used as a noun, which shows that people are marked and scarred by their pain. And if you think about the word mark, like if you get a mark on your clothes, it ruins it. So basically we're saying the government, the monarchy, the church, the people in power, they have ruined London. And a mark is difficult to get rid of, is difficult to remove, which shows it's difficult to get rid of these people's problems. I want to really focus on the alliteration of the W in weakness and woe, and I want our analysis to be really specific. You can't just say the alliteration of W makes you want to read on or creates an effect. We can't be vague. We've got to be really specific about that W sound. So firstly, I'm going to say the alliteration of W in weakness and woe connects the people's poverty and their sadness. And then I want to focus on the sound the W makes. So if you do the sound for me, it's going to feel a bit silly, but if you go w, 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 when does your lip do that? When does your bottom lip quiver like that? W, 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 It's like when you're about to cry. So it creates this image of sobbing and uncontrollable sadness, weakening. Also though, another interpretation of that alliteration of W is that all of your question words begin with W. Who, what, when, why, where. Forget about how. So in that sense, the alliteration of W could also be a subtle reference to the speaker's confusion about what has happened to a city that he loved in such a short amount of time. It's unrecognizable now. Now, in the next stanza, he refers to mind-forged manacles. Manacles means handcuffs. So Blake is using this metaphor, because you can't have handcuffs on your mind, to either say that people have no autonomy, they have no control over their own lives, even their minds are imprisoned. But also, alternative interpretation, he could also be saying your weakness is only in your mind. So he's calling for a revolution. He wants to make a change. Mind-forged manacles, the alliteration of M here, let's be specific again and do that sound. Maybe that conveys the greed of those in power, or like the hunger and poverty of the people. If we look at the next stanza, there's a lot of sensory imagery. In this poem, there's a lot of sensory imagery. Blake describes what he can see and what he can hear. He uses words like cry, sigh, which are almost onomatopoeic, and that evokes the reader's senses and allows them to understand and empathize with the human suffering. We can almost see it, we can hear it, we can feel it. Blake's being a lot more accusatory and anti-establishment, which was very brave for people at that time. He's saying, look at these children being exploited. Look at the soldiers who are dying in pointless wars whilst the monarchy are sitting chilling safely in their palaces. And the hapless soldier's sigh runs in blood down palace walls. There's a juxtaposition between the status and security of the palace versus the soldiers' lives. Hapless means unfortunate, and it really shows the disparity in wealth and power. Some people have so much of it, and some people have none. Now, you know how I feel about color imagery. If we spot a color, we're going to talk about it. So, blackening has connotations of evil. And so Blake is criticizing the church because that's an association that's supposed to be pure and good and protect the people. But instead, blackening shows it's been tainted, it's corrupt. But blackening could also actually refer to the soot and the pollution in the factories that these people are working in. And then we've got sibilance in soldier's sigh. Soldier's sigh, soft sound. It's like they've accepted and resigned to their fate. The last stanza is actually really sad. I used to not know what it means, but when I understood, it makes me really sad. A harlot means a prostitute. So Blake is describing the young prostitutes who are attacking and shouting at their newborn babies for crying. Now that's the first sounds the baby will hear. So Blake is like mourning the future. He's saying, what kind of world are we leaving behind? So the reference to infants symbolizes or is a microcosm for the future generation. And we've got bilabial plosive alliteration of the letter B, b, in the last stanza, which shows how society is breaking down. We've got the violent verb blast, which is onomatopoeic. And Blake is basically saying that all of this is going to create a culture of violence and corruption in the future. Bit sad. So there you have it. We have our 3 juicy quotes with some structure in there. Please remember, these are all just my ideas. You are allowed to have your own interpretations and your own ideas too. The more interpretations we have, the better. Now, it's not enough to just analyze language and structure. When you're talking about poetry, you also need to bring in context, which means what was going on during the time the poem was written, and poet's message. So what message was the poet trying to give the readers? And we don't want to do context as a standalone paragraph. You want to either embed it within the paragraph wherever you think it's relevant, or put it at the end of the paragraph where you think it fits. So, some interesting context for London is Blake lived in London and he wasn't wealthy. He rejected materialism, but he said he was rich in spirit. Perhaps that's why he empathized so strongly and wanted to raise awareness of the poverty in London. Blake was anti-establishment. He was even arrested once for being a spy. He was against organized religion and the monarchy. Blake became disillusioned with religion and his poems spoke out against social injustice. And his poetry and art often reflected his struggles with the big spiritual questions like, why is there evil? Why do evil people sometimes prosper? Why do the innocent suffer? Blake famously declared, "I must create a system or be enslaved by another man's." Blake was critical of the Industrial Revolution taking place in England. He hated the Industrial Revolution. He actually inspired the Romantic movement. He was known as the father of Romanticism. If you don't know what that means, that doesn't mean he was into love. It means the Romantic movement was a response to the Industrial Revolution. It's when we were building factories in London and breaking down everything because we just wanted to make money, and there was all this pollution everywhere and we were losing nature. And some poets like Blake were really upset about the fact that everything was becoming about factories and money, and we were exploiting poor people to try and make money, and we were losing spirituality and all that kind of stuff. So in 1803, Blake was put on trial for pushing a soldier out of his garden, and he allegedly said, "Damn the king, all the soldiers are slaves." In 1794, Blake wrote the Songs of Innocence and Experience. In Innocence, he focused on love, trust towards humankind, unquestioned belief in Christianity, and in Experience, he talks about disillusionment with human nature and society. Blake was inspired by the French Revolution. He wanted to persuade everyone to fight back against the corrupt government. There you have it, a full analysis of the poem London. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, give it a like, and don't forget to check out the rest of the videos coming up in this series.